When the 2026 collapse hits and your savings are worthless, the only currency that matters is what you can do with your hands and your brain. In Venezuela's economic collapse, doctors driving taxis made $4 monthly while mechanics fixing generators traded services for $50 worth of food daily. One had a degree, the other had a skill people desperately needed. Here are the 7 skills worth more than gold when the system breaks. Because when currency fails, capability becomes the only thing you can trade. If this is your first time hearing this perspective, hit subscribe now because I break down survival strategies they don't teach you. The skills that actually matter when systems fail. Don't miss what's coming next week. Number 7, water purification and filtration. The skill that keeps entire communities alive. This sounds basic until you realize municipal water systems are the first infrastructure to fail during budget crises. When cities can't pay workers or afford treatment chemicals, the taps either run dry or run contaminated. During the 2014 Flint water crisis, 100,000 people lost access to clean water, not because of natural disaster, but because the government cut costs. When budget crises hit nationwide in 2026, Flint becomes the template, not the exception. Here's why this skill matters. One person who can turn dirty water into drinking water doesn't just save themselves. They serve entire neighborhoods. You become the person families depend on for their most basic survival need. That dependency translates to trade value that exceeds almost anything else. The mechanism is straightforward, but most people never learn it. Bleach tablets and iodine drops work until they run out. Then you're helpless. But knowledge of UV sterilization, using sunlight and clear bottles, boiling techniques that kill pathogens without wasting fuel, and makeshift filtration using sand, charcoal, and gravel lasts forever. These methods require zero supply chain, zero manufacturing, zero money. During the Bosnian War, clean water became more valuable than food. People paid premium prices not for bottled water, which didn't exist, but for access to someone who knew how to make water safe. A person with a working filter system or purification knowledge could trade 1 liter of clean water for items worth 10 times the water's weight. Here's the practical breakdown. A ceramic water filter costs $60 today and purifies thousands of gallons before needing replacement. But the knowledge of how to build a biosand filter from a plastic bucket, gravel, and sand costs nothing and works indefinitely. You can teach this skill in 30 minutes. That's 30 minutes of learning. That becomes decades of survival capability. The mathematics favor knowledge over supplies. A case of bleach tablets costs $40 and treats maybe 2,000 gallons. Then it's gone. The ability to build a solar water disinfection system using plastic bottles and sunlight treats unlimited water forever. You're not trading consumables, you're trading expertise that regenerates value daily. Why it's on the list. Water is non-negotiable for survival. When systems fail and people get desperate, the person providing clean water holds more power than the person hoarding food. Food matters, but you can survive weeks without it. Water? 3 days, maybe 4? That urgency creates premium value for anyone who solves the problem. Number 6, basic medical and wound care. The skill that turns you into a community lifeline. Healthcare becomes unaffordable during economic collapse. In Argentina's 2001 crisis, hospital visits jumped from $20 to $200 overnight. Medical care didn't disappear, it became inaccessible for 80% of the population. Here's what happens when healthcare collapses. Minor injuries become life-threatening. A cut that gets infected kills people when antibiotics aren't available. A broken bone set incorrectly cripples someone permanently. The person who can stitch wounds, set bones, and treat infections becomes the difference between life and death. You don't need a medical degree. You need to understand wound cleaning, when to use pressure versus elevation, how to recognize infection early, and how to improvise supplies when pharmacies are empty. During the Great Depression, Neighborhood doctors traded treatment for food and shelter. They never went hungry because injuries don't stop during crisis. Antibiotics expire within 2 years, bandages run out, but knowledge of natural antiseptics like honey and garlic lasts forever. Understanding proper wound cleaning, creating splints from materials, and identifying which injuries need serious attention becomes permanent trade value. Red Cross offers first aid certification for $100. EMT training costs $1,000 to $2,000. Wilderness medicine courses teach improvised care. These investments buy knowledge that appreciates as systems fail. Why it's on the list? Medical emergencies don't pause for collapse. Someone who can provide basic care trades that skill repeatedly while preppers run out of supplies. Number 5, food preservation and storage, the skill that extends harvest into survival. Refrigeration fails when power grids become unreliable, and unreliable is the best case scenario in 2026. In Texas's 2021 freeze, power outages lasted weeks, and millions of dollars of refrigerated food rotted. That was a temporary crisis in a functioning economy. When economic collapse makes power intermittent or unaffordable, refrigeration becomes luxury most people lose. Here's why preservation knowledge matters. A family that grows or acquires food in summer but can't preserve it starves in winter. A family that can preserve that harvest eats for months. The person who can teach preservation techniques or trade preservation services feeds multiple families through lean seasons. The mechanism is ancient but forgotten. Canning preserves vegetables and meats for years without refrigeration. Meat creates protein that lasts months. Dehydrating removes water that bacteria need, making food shelf-stable indefinitely. Fermentation not only preserves food, but makes it more nutritious and digestible. These techniques worked for thousands of years before refrigeration existed. During the Great Depression, families survived because someone in the household knew how to can tomatoes, pickle vegetables, cure meat, and make preserves. The families that starved weren't those without food. They were those without preservation knowledge who watched food rot while they went hungry. Here's the practical application. A basic canning setup costs $60. Pressure canner, jars, lids. That equipment lasts decades. The knowledge of water bath, canning versus pressure canning, proper processing times, and safe acidity levels costs zero but prevents botulism and food waste. You learn it once, use it forever. The mathematics are straightforward. Someone brings you 20 pounds of fresh meat that will spoil in 3 days. You smoke or can it, charging them half the preserved meat as payment. You've just traded skill for 10 pounds of preserved protein. That same skill trades repeatedly throughout the season as people desperately try to save harvests. Fermentation adds another dimension. Making sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, and kvass requires only salt, water, and vegetables. But the knowledge of proper brine ratios, fermentation times, and temperature control means you can create shelf-stable food from fresh produce that would otherwise rot. This skill alone kept communities alive through winters when fresh food didn't exist. Why it's on the list. One person who can preserve a harvest feeds families through winter. That person never goes hungry because everyone with food that's about to spoil needs them. You're trading knowledge that multiplies the value of everyone else's work. Number 4, small engine and electrical repair. The skill that keeps critical systems running. When supply chains break, repair becomes more valuable than replacement because replacement isn't an option. Generators, water pumps, chainsaws, vehicles. These become critical survival tools. The person who can fix them controls access to power, water, and transportation. Most people today can't fix anything. They buy new when something breaks. That stops working when new isn't available. The person who can diagnose engine problems or rewire electrical systems becomes indispensable. During the Great Depression, fix-it men never went hungry. Everything needed fixing and nothing could be replaced. These weren't engineers. They were people who learned basic mechanical and electrical principles. Small engine repair is simpler than most think. Four-stroke engines work on fuel, air, compression, spark. Understanding those four lets you troubleshoot most problems. Electrical systems follow voltage, current, resistance. Learn those relationships and you can fix most issues. Community colleges offer repair courses for $500. Electrical basics cost under $100 to learn. Buy broken equipment cheap, fix it, resell it. You're learning while building trade inventory. When someone's generator stops and it's their only power source, they'll pay anything to get it running. You're not fixing machines. You're restoring capability people need to survive. Why it's on the list. Systems break at the same rate, regardless of economic conditions. When replacement isn't possible, the person who can fix critical equipment becomes invaluable. Number 3, bartering and negotiation, the skill that multiplies everything else. Currency systems change during collapse, but human psychology doesn't. Understanding what people actually need, reading desperation versus value in trades, and knowing when to walk away makes the difference between thriving and barely surviving. This skill multiplies every other skill on this list. Successful bartering isn't item for item, it's understanding relative value perception. A person with a broken leg values medical care at 50 times normal worth. A person with working legs values it at 0. Same service, different context, completely different value. During Argentina's collapse, people who understood barter psychology thrived despite having less than others. It wasn't about what you had, it was knowing when to trade, what to ask for, and how to structure deals strategically. Scarcity creates urgency. Urgency creates poor decisions. The person who stays calm and assesses true value extracts better terms from every trade. Never make the first offer. Never reveal full inventory. People value immediate needs over future needs at 10 to 1. A blanket in winter trades for 10 times summer value. Understanding pattern matters. During the Depression, alcohol, tobacco, and coffee became universal currency. In Venezuela, cigarettes and toilet paper. In Bosnia, batteries and lighters. Recognizing these patterns before they emerge lets you position strategically why it's on the list. You can have every skill and still lose trades without negotiation knowledge. This skill has no supply chain, no expiration, and improves with practice. Number 2, security and personal defense, the skill that keeps you alive when everything else breaks down. Crime spikes during economic collapse. That's not speculation, it's historical pattern proven in every major economic crisis of the last 100 years. In Argentina's 2001 collapse, violent crime jumped 500% in 6 months. In Greece's 2010 crisis, property crimes doubled. When people get desperate and law enforcement becomes underfunded, you either protect yourself or lose everything you've worked to prepare. Here's the reality. Police response times increase when budgets cut. In Detroit's bankruptcy, average police response time hit 58 minutes. By 2026, when municipal budgets crater nationwide, expect response times to double or triple. That means you're on your own for the first hour of any crisis. The person who can secure their family, property, and community survives. The person who can't becomes a victim. The mechanism is simple. Deterrence works better than confrontation. A home that looks secured and occupied gets passed over for easier targets. A person who carries themselves with awareness and confidence doesn't get chosen by opportunistic criminals. Visible preparation prevents most problems before they start. Knowledge of basic tactics, situational awareness, and defensive skills doesn't require military training. It requires understanding human behavior, recognizing threats early, and knowing how to de-escalate or defend when necessary. This knowledge protects everything else you've prepared. Without it, your food stockpile becomes someone else's food stockpile the moment they decide to take it. During the Bosnian War, neighborhoods that organized security survived, neighborhoods that didn't got overrun. The difference wasn't weapons or training. It was coordination, awareness, and willingness to protect community resources. Individual families got robbed, organized groups held what they had. Here's the training path. Basic self-defense courses cost $200 to $500. Situational awareness training teaches threat recognition. Firearms training provides last resort capability. But the most valuable skill is learning to project confidence and competence that deters threats before they materialize. The trade value is indirect but crucial. A community that's secured attracts people with valuable skills who need protection. A person who can provide security trades that capability for food, medical care, and other essentials from people who have resources but can't protect them. Why it's on the list. You can have every skill, every supply, every preparation, and lose everything if you can't protect it. Security knowledge is the foundation that lets every other preparation remain useful. The person who can secure resources keeps them. The person who can't watches them disappear. Number 1. Growing food in small spaces, the skill that creates independence when supply chains fail. This is the only skill on the list that creates wealth instead of trading existing value. While others depend on failing supply chains, grocery stores with empty shelves and imported food that stops arriving, the person who can grow food creates independence. One skilled gardener can feed multiple families year-round from a small backyard or even an apartment balcony. Here's why this tops the list. Every other skill trades capability for resources. This skill creates resources from nothing but knowledge, seeds, soil, and water. You're not dependent on what others have. You're generating value that didn't exist before. The mechanism is ancient, but most people today couldn't grow a tomato if their life depended on it. And in 2026, it might. Vertical farming maximizes space. Container growing eliminates need for land. Square foot gardening produces the same yield as traditional rows in 1/10 the space. These aren't experimental techniques. They're proven methods that work anywhere. During World War II, Victory Gardens produced 40% of America's vegetables, not on farms, in backyards. Regular people with basic knowledge fed their families and communities, while commercial agriculture went to military supply. Those gardens weren't large. They were efficient. Here's the specific knowledge that matters. Understanding crop rotation prevents soil depletion. Knowing companion planting increases yields and reduces pests. Recognizing nutrient deficiencies and amending soil creates healthy plants. Mastering season extension through cold frames and hoop houses provides food year-round instead of just summer. The mathematics favor this skill above everything else. Seeds cost $2 to $5 per packet. That packet produces pounds of food. One tomato plant yields 20 to 40 pounds of tomatoes. The return on investment is 100 to 1 or better, but only if you know how to grow it. The real value is seed saving. Most people don't know that hybrid seeds don't reproduce true. You need heirloom varieties that regenerate. One season of successful growing with saved seeds means permanent food independence. You're no longer dependent on seed companies, stores, or supply chains. You've created a closed-loop system that regenerates itself indefinitely. Why it's on the list? Food is the ultimate currency during collapse. The person who can produce it controls their own survival and trades excess for anything else they need. This skill alone provides complete independence from systems that are about to fail. While others panic about where their next meal comes from, you're harvesting it from your backyard. Why these skills beat stockpiling supplies? Supplies run out. Knowledge doesn't. A bunker full of food feeds you until it's empty. A skill set feeds you indefinitely and creates trade value that regenerates daily. The pattern across every collapse is identical. People with supplies survived short-term. People with skills survived long-term. When Argentina's crisis stretched into years, hoarders ran out while the skilled kept trading. These 7 skills solve fundamental human needs, require zero supply chain to practice, and improve with repetition instead of depleting. The time to learn is before you need to. Crisis is the worst classroom. During the Great Depression, people who thrived had capabilities that stayed valuable regardless of conditions. They had skills people needed yesterday, today, and tomorrow. You have a choice right now. You can accumulate stuff that runs out, breaks, or gets taken, or you can build capabilities that compound in value as systems fail. These 7 skills require no expensive equipment. Water purification basics can be mastered in a weekend. Medical training takes weeks. Food preservation requires 1 season. Small engine repair is months of evening study. Growing food starts with a seed packet and container. You're not becoming an expert in all 7. You're becoming competent in 2 or 3 that match your situation. A person with water and food skills trades with someone who has medical and repair skills. Communities form around complementary capabilities. The 2026 collapse is coming whether you're ready or not. Your retirement might become worthless. Your job might disappear. Your savings might inflate away. But skills to purify water, treat injuries, preserve food, fix engines, negotiate, secure property, and grow food become more valuable the worse things get. You have a window. Not to prepare for if the crisis comes, to prepare for when it arrives. Training is available now, seeds are cheap now, but when collapse hits, instructors are busy surviving and seed companies back order for months. You either use this time to build capability or you spend the crisis wishing you had. Subscribe because next week I'm breaking down the specific training resources for each of these 7 skills, where to learn them, how much it costs, and the fastest path to competence before the window closes. See you then.